Today, I want to tell a story about reactions. Well, happy Friday and good morning, brothers and sisters. Welcome to Mission Zero. If this is your first time here, my name is Sean, and this is Flashback Friday, the show where we take stories from the past and apply them to the present to create a better future. The story that I want to talk about today, I've actually talked about before, but it's back in season 1. It's a little hard to watch, as most of those videos are, because I wasn't really all that great at this yet. The story I want to tell is out of Matthew chapter 16, and we're going to start on verse 21. "Heaven forbid, Lord," Peter said, "that these things will happen to you." And 23 is really the crux of it. Jesus turns to Peter and he says, "Get away from me, Satan. You are a snare to me. You are seeing things merely from a human point of view, not from God's." So many people in the 2,000 years since this conversation was had have made this a scorn of Peter. That's not true. And in fact, you can't really read that story and come away with that opinion. He was not talking to the Satan living in Peter. He was talking to the temptation in his own heart, his own reaction to what Peter said. See, what Peter did is exactly what any other human being who loves their friend would do if their friend started talking about their imminent death. He says, "Hey man, don't talk like that. That doesn't have to happen to you. Lift your chin up." How many people in the church hear someone say that they're going through a bad thing and say, "Hey, don't talk like that. You gotta speak positively." It's all Peter did. What was in Peter's heart was love, not an accusation. The accusation, that's what Satan means, is accuser. The accusation there, the temptation that Satan spoke, was not Peter's words. It was that Jesus thought for a minute, I actually don't have to go do this. I have free will. My Father inside of me gave me free will. I could choose not to die. I could choose to stay here for 20,000 more years to teach these people, because it's so clear that in the last 3 years they have learned nothing. They have learned nothing of what I'm trying to teach them. And so in this moment, he feels a temptation to forego the cross, to do it a different way, to improve on God's plan by spending more time with these people. But in a flash of a moment, he puts away that thought, understands that that's just again the temptation of Satan from the wilderness, telling him, you don't have to go through all this. You don't have to follow this fate. When he says these words, "You're a snare to me. You think from a human point of view and not God's," he's talking to his own thought there. And if you don't believe that, then you do not believe that Jesus was a man. Jesus was not some elevated form of humanity with different DNA. He wasn't Milla Jovovich from The Fifth Element here. He was a man like any other man. He had the same temptations. He had the same desires. He had the same tendencies. He just had a better perspective. He had more knowledge. And so he could control that better. And when we read this story and then we make it a smackdown of Peter for trying to deny Jesus' fate, we miss the complexity of that. We miss the edifying truth of this story, that Jesus, many times in his life, was tempted to forego the cross, not because he didn't want to save people, but because he thought maybe there is a better way to do it. That he understood God's way is always superior. The practicality of this message, it's not just about dusting off some doctrinal argument and trying to stir up trouble here. It's that so many people in the world don't really get Jesus. They don't really wrap their minds around this idea that he was fully God and fully man. They need it to be, no, he was the Son and he's separate from the Father. Nonsense. The truth of Jesus is exactly that. He was a man, just like us. He just had a better perspective. The exhortation in that, the practical usage you can dig into is that he left us that perspective. He told us exactly how he viewed things. He gave us exactly his context that we could live the same life. Not to go to the cross and save humanity. He already did that. It doesn't need to be done again. But we can bear our cross. We can look at our purpose, no matter how hard it feels, and we can chase that. We can glorify God in that purpose. And when we reduce Jesus to this magical supernatural being, we miss all of that. I hope that challenges you. I hope that gives you something to really mull over. And I love you so much. And may God pour out the blessings of that strength and presence of mind to catch those things that tempt you away from your purpose and put you back on his path. And I hope that you have a fantastic weekend. I'll see you on Monday.